Logan, I want to ask you, and we're going to talk about it a little bit too here. September, whatever the start date is for the NFL season, ideal quarterback room. 3 quarterbacks. We're not going to include Deshaun Watson. Probably won't be on the active roster. Ideal quarterback room. 3 quarterbacks. Who is it?
I'm going to go with Zay, what he said kind of before the show started. I like Shedeur Sanders. I like if we take him at 2. And I like also bringing in some sort of veteran. I don't know if that's Kirk Cousins. I don't know if that's Joe Flacco. I doubt it's Joe Flacco, but Kirk Cousins being at the Chipotle in Cleveland gives me I'm a little suspect about that, but my ideal room is probably Kenny Pickett. He's already on the roster. Yeah. Shedeur Sanders and Kirk Cousins, kind of a mentor. I'd like to see him start. I always hate throwing in a rookie, right off the bat, especially in Cleveland. I think, the pressure is there for sure to perform. If we can ease him in and maybe Kirk comes in and performs well, or if he doesn't, maybe Shedeur can take the reins, but that's my go-to. That's my 3.
I like that. And Zay, you're same boat, same 3, correct?
My ideal is a little bit different than what I actually think it is, because everyone knows I'm Team Joe Flacco. So Shedeur obviously won. Kenny Pickett, you have to throw him in there. And after hearing the comments saying that with Kevin Stefanski, it's almost seeming like dude's gonna get the start, which is kind of crazy, which kind of puts a wrench into this whole who is the veteran that comes in, because I think it was Andrew Berry came out and said that the quarterback room is going to remain young. So if it isn't another veteran, they could potentially go 2 rookies and it'd be Pickett and 2 rookies. Mm-hmm. So ideally, I want Flacco, Shedeur, and Pickett. Realistically, it's probably Cousins, Shedeur, Pickett.
Yeah, I don't know if you remember, I talked about it last time. The potential of taking Shedeur at 2 and then taking a guy like Will Howard or Riley Leonard's the late round guy I like the most, but Riley Leonard later on. If they keep the quarterback room young, quote unquote, that is totally the route they could go. And, for what it's worth with Kenny Pickett, he's been in the NFL and he's won games as a starter. He's won more games than he's lost. Granted, not all his doing, maybe didn't play the biggest part in all of those games, but he still found ways to win as a starting quarterback in the NFL. And, the reality is Kenny Pickett is going to be on the roster regardless. But what the Browns do at number 2 is at the forefront of literally everything. Literally everything. So, Logan, I'll turn it back to you. Who do you want?
I'm on Team Travis Hunter right now. I think it's really hard to pass him up. I think he's like a unicorn in the league. I don't think that I know of. I've never seen a guy be able to go 2 ways. I don't know how viable that's going to be, once the season starts, if he's actually going to be able to go both ways. But I think plugging him in with the wide receiver room we have, and if we get a viable option at QB, he could be very dangerous. And also, we do have injury problems on the defense. I wouldn't mind if, Denzel or Emerson, God forbid, they get a little banged up, toss him in on, a DB if we need to for a couple weeks. But I think if he's there, and if we're not looking to go QB at 2, I think it's a no-brainer to take him. But if we are, then I think the no-brainer would be Shedeur. If you have any speculation that you want to take a QB and you want a young guy like Shedeur, or if Cam Ward's there, which I don't think he will be at all, but if Shedeur is there and we have any want to have that QB and that leader to take over in the young QB room, I think he's the guy. You got to take him.
Isn't it so crazy that really up until the past 48 hours, it was Abdul Carter or Shedeur Sanders? There was no in between. And we all saw the comments Andrew Berry made about Travis Hunter being the top receiver, not even talking about him as a DB, a few weeks ago. But all of a sudden now, people are talking about Travis Hunter being the best player on the board and him being the option at number 2. Did something change in your guys' mind? Am I missing something?
Yeah. Haslam. Haslam, I cannot believe how much juice Haslam gave us and when he talked. He said, you can't force a quarterback at 2. Andrew Berry has to nail the draft. So it's almost like, hey, we can give you this time to get a couple more years under your belt, but if you don't nail the draft, you could be gone. So it's like, if you're Andrew Berry, you have to get number 2 right. Whether it be trade back, whether it be Travis Hunter, whether it be Shedeur, whatever you do at 2, it has to hit, and it has to hit hard. Mm-hmm. Or you could be talking about a new GM potentially next year. So I think Haslam is the wrench that's been thrown into this whole conversation.
Yeah, and it's a pretty important wrench, especially with those comments. Everybody always says BPA, best player available. That's probably what the Browns are going to wind up doing. But, at the end of the day, the draft is only a certain set amount of players that's going to come onto your roster.